Welcome to Turtle Talk. This is Morgan's story and the family's journey. I'm Craig, and
I'm Michelle. Welcome. Welcome back.
yep,
We left off with things are getting hairy with the admin. They're talking discharging.
Yeah.
And wherever you go with it from there.
Okay.
Let me check my mic and everything. Yep, we're good there. Okay.
Okay.
Look at my princess. Okay, here we go.
All right. Well, welcome back. We're in the middle of talking about dealing with admin. Insurance is changing hands. Lots of stress from the higher ups at the rehab place. And where do you want to go from there? So now we're into end of year 2017.
Yeah,
January
we're
18.
we're in January. And they're talking about all this discharging and we need to plan for that eventually in the future.
Yeah.
That was the words, eventually in the future. So there was no hard date, there was no hard time, but let's start getting our ducks in a row. Okay? Which I can appreciate that. I'm a planner, so I can appreciate that. However, it almost felt like we were being forced. Right? Because we're still watching Morgan saying she's continuing to make progress. Why are we leaving?
Right.
Why are they pushing this? Answers unknown, right? So, we start talking with the doctor saying, okay, how do we do this? Like medications and the supplies and things like that. How do we do that? So then it was decided that, we needed to create our file of here's what Morgan's going to need, and we'll get the therapist to write orders for a wheelchair and for chucks and briefs and our medications and all the things we could possibly need. So we're sitting down with different therapies during therapy and saying, hey, can you write us some orders for all of this? Can you write us some orders for that? And I have to find a place back home that can help us with these things, so we'd kind of like to get the ball rolling because nothing in medical supplies is fast.
Right.
Not a thing. And so we said, we'd really like to get the ball rolling on this. That way, when the time finally comes, we've already got the doctor's orders, we've got all the notes, justifications, and all the stuff that we need. And, because we need like a shower chair. We need a wheelchair. We need a hospital bed. We need an IV pole and a pump so we can continue to give her nourishment when we need to, because she's still got a G-tube, right? And I mean, the list was so long, and it's how do we get these things?
Where do you start?
Exactly. Where do you start? So luckily we had made friends with other families who had children with TBIs who had been there, and they're on the outpatient program. We learned an awful lot from them about good outpatient versus not so good outpatient and what they were doing to supplement the 2 to 3 times a week from this place. How do you supplement that? Because that's not enough.
Right.
So we took advice from all of them to figure out what we needed to do. We asked a ton of questions. We met like 4 other families who all had kids about Morgan's age that had a TBI. And what did you do? And how did you navigate through the transition to home? So that advice was very helpful.
Sure.
It was good. So we're spending the month of January gathering information, calling different places, reaching out like what's next, trying to figure out, wow, Morgan was 19. You don't really have you had like a pediatrician, but she's beyond a pediatrician. And now we're into like this whole new category of level of care.
Right.
So what kind of doctor does she need, and how do I get it? And, oh, my head was spinning. Tom's head was spinning. Tom's trying to figure out, oh, great, how are we going to do this addition? Now it's the middle of winter. It was
Lots of fun.
It was stress.
Yeah.
It was so stressful. And I thank God for the people there, our friends there. I don't think we could have ever made it without them. I would call Elizabeth at weird hours of the day and night, just crying and saying, I don't know what to do. And she was always such a calm in the storm for me. And she'd always find a way to take my sadness and turn something into a joke. And then by the end of the conversation, we were giggling like little girls, Bob and Mary were the same way. Bob always gave me the tough love, and he's like, okay, you need to stop with your pity party and just ask yourself what's next. God, I love Bob for that. And Mary was just so sweet because she was always there with a hug. Every time I needed a hug, she was there, And Ellen, Ellen was a nurse and gave me like nursing advice and things like that. And Shane was just always, her and the Zelenies were always right there with a prayer. They all were right there with a prayer, but there was just always comfort in their hugs and a quick prayer, and just, so with them I had a lot of strength to say what's next. Sometimes I didn't want the answer of what's next. I mean, this is scary. Like, yeah. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Tom doesn't know what the heck he's doing. We have a safety net here, but reality is we don't, at some point we have to go home. So we're carrying on with therapy. Morgan's continuing to make gains. Insurance is still saying everything's good, even though admin's saying they're not paying, blah, blah, blah. Well, I knew that was going to pose a problem. So all of a sudden, here we are, January 31st. Here comes admin again.
January 31st?
January 31st.
Okay.
And said, well, since your insurance isn't paying, Morgan's therapy, effective immediately, is cut to 2 hours a day from 4.5 hours a day.
Admin decision, not doctor's decision.
Yeah, admin. Cut to 2 hours a day.
Okay, so let's, what are your thoughts?
I wanted to throw up right then and there.
Panic.
Because everything, panic. Your stomach just drops. Your heart's palpating. You're thinking, what in the hell is going on? And that happened frequently. Like, things would happen and there's no doctor's signature for it. Mm-hmm. So who the heck is making these decisions? Well, it all pointed back to the admin. And so now I'm like, what? And they said, so Morgan's therapy is getting cut to 2 hours a day. Her last day of therapy is going to be February 12th. So she has 2 more weeks of therapy. And then she'll spend another month. We'll move her over into the nursing home part of it. And she'll spend another month here with no therapy while we help transition her to whatever's next.
Whole month without therapy.
A whole month without therapy. Just lay around, Morgan.
But if you even lose a day for sickness, it sets you back 3.
Right.
So what's a month with no therapy gonna do to her?
Exactly. So, every study we read is with traumatic brain injuries for at least the first year and a half, you should have a minimum of 3 hours a day of therapy.
Yeah.
And they cut her down to 2. And we're asking therapists, why? And the therapists are just like, the decision's beyond us. Like the therapists, I felt bad for them because they were caught in the middle. We're like, why? They're saying you guys said this, that Morgan wasn't meeting her goals. But yet, when we're with you in therapy, Morgan's meeting her goals. So I really think there was a lot of pressure from admin to the therapy team to say, here's what's going to happen, and you need to just go with this narrative. because we could look at her therapist and you could just see sadness, and you knew they didn't believe what they had to say to us.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's so we just kept telling admin, we're like, listen, if her therapy is done on the 12th, we're leaving on the 13th.
Right.
We're leaving on the 12th or the 13th. We're not going to lay around for a month in the nursing home. No, that is unacceptable. And so, we're telling the charge nurse, we told everybody, if her therapy is done on the 12th, we're leaving on the 12th. You can't leave without our permission, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I know. I know.
What? So they thought they could just hold you hostage.
That's what it felt like. That's what it really felt like. They were going to just maintain control of Morgan. So we knew what was coming in the next couple weeks. So we've been living there. We've got pictures hanging up all over. We've got, Morgan's cards. I've got paperwork. We've got her special clothing. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Like, this is her apartment pretty much.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I start getting boxes during that 1 hour at night when Mike is with Morgan. That became more of a therapy session for me than time with him for Morgan, because I'd just cry and I'm like, Mike, I don't know what to do next. And oh, poor Mike, he'd hold my hand and he'd just pray. Mike was a godsend, because every evening at the end of the day, I could truly cry and not be judged and just say what I needed to say. And Mike would hold my hand and he'd pray with me. And he just reminded me that he had lived through so much and that Morgan was going to be okay. Sure didn't feel like it though.
No.
So Mike would sit with Morgan and I'd go find boxes. I'd go buy a few totes, find some boxes, and I'd bring it back, and I started packing up all her stuff in her room, and I'd take it to the house we're staying at. At midnight when I'm leaving the rehab hospital, I'm going to the house, and I'd spend some time packing up our stuff there, because it seems like we had stuff everywhere. Like, how do you accumulate so much stuff in a short amount of time? But you do. We had clothes there. We had our paperwork and just, it was overwhelming. But I thought, we need to be prepared, because if we can't stay, we got to be able to go, and we can't, yes, this guy is so super kind letting us use his house. I mean, he was such a sweetheart. And my husband and him, I didn't really meet him, but my husband spent time with him and visited and stuff. And I mean, just such an angel to us and stuff. But I'm like, geez, we got, when she leaves, we're leaving, like everything, right. The house, everything. So I'm packing the house and I'm packing her room, and we're trying to be prepared just in case, right? Like, if we can't work this out, and we're calling insurance. I'm talking to the lawyers. I'm like, what the hell? They're telling us insurance isn't paying, but we're talking to insurance and they're saying they are paying, and they're kicking Morgan out, but they want her to sit for a month in the nursing home. That's no good for her. Help us, help us, help us. And there's nothing but hopelessness in this whole situation.
Right.
So I'm packing stuff. I'm crying to Mike. I'm crying to Mary. I'm crying to Bob. I'm crying to everyone, Elizabeth, anybody who would listen. I'm crying to, because it's like, this is so unfair.
Right.
Everybody's giving up on her. And that's exactly how we felt, as people were giving up on Morgan. So the night nurse practitioner was super sweet. And I said, hey, can you give me prescriptions for all of Morgan's medication? It's going to take time. I told a little fib, and I just said, our pharmacy is a small town pharmacy. It could take a while if they have to order stuff in. I just need everything to be prepared. So she's like, yeah. So she's writing orders for all kinds of stuff for me. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm sending them back. I'm sending that stuff, and I'm contacting home medical, and I'm like, I got orders for all this stuff. And mind you, I had all the therapists writing stuff for us. And I'm just sending it to the local home medical place back home. And I said, do what you got to do, but I think we're going to need this sooner than later, right? Because we're saying if therapy's done on the 12th, we're leaving on the 12th.
Right.
And they're saying, no, you're staying till the end of March. And we're saying no. So we don't know how this is going to play out, but by God, I'm going to be prepared, right? And so I'm kind of quietly off, backdooring all these orders and stuff and getting them under like little fibs so I can get this stuff, because we're going to go. Yeah. I'm not going to let her lay in bed and rot for a month while they try and figure out whatever it is. And basically Tom and I really felt like, hey, if we keep her there for another month, that's free money. Because mom and dad are going to be here and take care of her. So we really don't need staff to take care of her, but we get to collect a crap ton of money from the insurance company.
Right.
Right? I mean, literally.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's how we felt, is everything at this point was all about money.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I am not saying anything bad about the therapist. We love the therapist, and I really feel like they were caught in a bad situation, because I was not going to let Morgan go without a fight, right? And I went to the administrator of the whole place and said, hey, this is not right. The administrator of the unit that we were in, same thing. This isn't right. Nobody cared.
Really? That's disheartening.
The only ones that cared were her therapists, and they felt bad. They did. They felt bad. But the decision's not theirs.
Yeah, it was out of their control.
It was out of their control. And so here we are. I'm trying to get all this stuff taken care of, and I'm thinking, the only thing I haven't taken care of is Morgan needs a doctor. Who's going to be her doctor? So I call back, and I'm trying to get her a new one, and nobody can get her in for quite a while, actually, because she's a new patient to somebody. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? So I made an appointment with my primary care for me, right? I'm like, I don't even care. So I made an appointment with the primary care for the 13th of February, knowing full well I can just cancel it if I need to, right? And so, mind you, all these things are going on, and I didn't want to publicize this at all. I just had a bad feeling, right? I had a really bad feeling. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I'm like, we're not publicizing anything. We're just like, you know what though? We still want to go on this day, and they kept saying, no, you're not. And we kept saying, yeah, we are. They kept saying, no, you're not, right? And so this is going on. I'm trying to get these orders. I'm trying to get stuff.
10 days of hell.
Stuff is getting delivered to the house, right? And we're like, oh shit, what are we going to do? A hospital bed comes. Let me tell you, there needs to be some new standards in hospital beds, because the crap they brought us was like, it reminded me of an episode of like MASH, where it's like a metal bed frame that the hand cranks up with this crappy little thin foam mattress on it. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? No, this can't. How can this even be functional for someone like Morgan?
Right.
Right?
Well, it's not.
It's not. And so stuff is arriving. The wheelchair they ordered us, the orders were for a specific wheelchair. And they bring us one that you get at the door of the hospital when you're hopping out of your car and need a ride, you know. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like freaking out. Tom has drill over the weekend, and I think it like the 12th was like a Monday or a Tuesday. I don't even remember what day it was, but I know we had therapy, and he couldn't come on the weekend because he had military service to be at. And so I had the whole house packed up because I'm like, you know what, at this point, my stress level is so bad. I'm throwing up constantly. I can't keep anything down. I'm shaking uncontrollably. I'm just like, I can't do this. I cannot.
Your hair didn't fall out.
A lot did. I just, Tom and I couldn't do this, and we're just a wreck. So I had that morning, I got up and I told him, I said I had to go run an errand, and I had the whole house packed and all the boxes sitting there in the living room for Tom to just come and grab them, and we'd be good. Excuse me. So when he got there, he could load up. And so he got there actually Sunday night and started loading. He drove down, and it was late. It was middle of the night when he got there by the time he was done with his military stuff, and got there, and he loaded and loaded and loaded and loaded the car. And I'm hauling stuff out in the evenings, as you know, for the couple weeks, hauling stuff out to my car and hauling it back to the house and stuff. So we only had a few things left in there. So they're watching us empty this, and we're like, well, if she's got to move rooms, I don't want to move all this stuff.
Right.
That was the pretense I just said. Hey, if we got to move rooms, I don't want to move it, so we'll just pack it up and take it home.
Right.
So all of this is transpiring. We're on the 12th, and Morgan's, you know, we're like going to therapy, her 2 hours of therapy. We have lunch. We get her afternoon meds. Tom's got everything loaded at the house, got the house clean. I've hauled out the last of her stuff out of the room with her, you know, between lunch and stuff, therapy and lunch, we're hauling everything out to the car. So we get back, we have lunch, and Tom hauls out the last 2 or 3 boxes out of there and stuffs them in his truck. And then he comes back in. We have her afternoon meds. And I don't know. It was a horrible feeling. And we kept saying, we're leaving. And they kept saying, no, you cannot leave with her. You cannot leave. You cannot leave. You cannot leave. So we had a window in which to get her home before meds were due again and everything else. So we stopped in the chapel, we prayed for a little bit, and then we went out to our serenity garden, and we went over, and Tom picked her up out of the wheelchair, and he put her in the car, and we seatbelted her in, propped her up with pillows, and I handed him the keys, and he handed me the truck keys, and I said, just go. He's like, well, I got a couple things at the house to grab. I said, then get over there. I'll be there in a few. And so I take the wheelchair and I go back in because Morgan's dog is still in the room, and a couple last little things are in there. And so I go up to the nurse's station, to the charge nurse, mind you, that hated me and told everybody what a bitch I was, right?
Yep.
And I said to her, I need Morgan's meds. I need her meds. I need, you know, her discharge paperwork. I told you we're leaving. She goes, you are not leaving, and just hollers at me. And I said, I told you we are leaving. And you are not leaving. And this little argument's going back and forth. And she looks over and sees the empty wheelchair. And she said, where is Morgan? And I looked at my watch and I said, well, she's probably in Iowa by now. And oh my God, it got really ugly really fast. And she's like, what the heck did you do? And she's like, I'll be right back, and takes off. And I thought, oh, that bad feeling I had is just getting worse. So I quick run over to Morgan's room. And I grabbed the dog and I grabbed everything I could carry in one trip. And the rest of it, I thought, the hell with it. We'll just leave it. I don't even care, right? It's like pillows and whatever. I don't even care. So I grab the dog, grab all this stuff. And as I come out of the room and I'm coming towards the hallway, I look and here she is coming back with security officers. And I'm thinking, oh shit, right? So I zip across the hall really fast and I go and I cut out through, because I can hear her hollering. She is irate. And so I'm like, screw this. I cut through the kitchen and out the staff exit and stuff. And I get to the truck. I throw the dog and all the stuff in there and I take off. And I meet Tom over at the house. We throw in the last couple things that, we had to get Morgan in the car first before we could put the rest of the stuff in. And we loaded up everything. I quick scrubbed the floor because that was the only thing I had left to do. And in the car we went, and I am just praying every prayer I can. I'm just saying, God, just get us home safely. Get us out of this state safely. Get us to Iowa. I'm sobbing hysterically, thinking, oh my God, what the hell have we done? But I knew, Tom knew this was the right decision. We had to get her the hell out of there, right? And so we get to Iowa, and I finally can breathe a sigh of relief. Every cop car I saw freaked me out because she was on the phone with someone. She had security right there. Oh my God, my nerves were a wreck.
Is it kidnapping?
Well, at the time,
am I jumping ahead of?
A little bit, but
so you get to Iowa border. I didn't mean to
yeah,
interrupt
we
you.
get to the Iowa border, and I pulled over, and Tom pulled over, and I got out of the car, and he hugged me, and I'm shaking, and I'm sobbing, and I'm thinking, I said, did we do the right thing? Please tell me we did the right thing. And he goes, honey, that was not the right thing being there. Mm-hmm. Our welcome was wore out.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's okay. Just take a deep breath. It's okay. Let's get her home. So we get back in the car. I call the attorney's office. I said, hey, you need to fix this shit and do whatever you got to do, right? Get her discharge paperwork, get all the scripts that we're going to need, even though I had all of them, right? Do this for us, please. And I said, and then I'm telling the paralegal, I'm just sobbing, and I'm telling her this, and she must have been messaging somebody else in the office, because she's like, okay, so-and-so's working on this, and what else do you need? What can we help you with? And I'm like, they brought her this shitty hospital bed, blah, 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 and we need an actual hospital bed. And she's like, okay, I'm going to work on that. Just take a deep breath. It's all okay. We're going to call the rehab center right now. We'll take care of that. Everything is okay. Just be safe. So then I felt a little bit better, and I'm calling my mom, and I'm like, we're on our way home. And she's like, what the hell? I'm like, our welcome was wore out. We're on our way home. And so we're driving. I'm sick as can be. Like, my stomach is just in knots. Morgan's sitting next to me in the car, and I'm holding her hand, and I'm crying, and that was horrible. It was horrible.
It sounds like a jailbreak.
It did.
This is stuff you see in movies.
It felt like a jailbreak. And I was so thankful when the lawyer's office called us back, the paralegal did, and she goes, Michelle, I got a surprise for you. And I said, what? She said, I found a company out of Sioux Falls that rehabs hospital beds. And they'll be delivering a Hill-Rom bed with all the fixins in 2 days. Will you be okay till then? And I said, we'll be fine. And I said, what's that going to cost us? And she said, they're donating it to you guys. And it was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Yeah. So Morgan got a bed that would work, you know. So then she said, I'll call the home medical and tell them to come pick up the crap bed, you know. So we used the crap bed for 2 nights, but then the good bed came.
Oh,
and
man.
I know, but then she said, I probably wouldn't speed or do anything like that. And I said, why? And she said, well, in our conversation with them, there was some talk about they had called the cops on you guys for kidnapping. The administration did. So they were handling all of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, how do you we're not kidnapping. She's our child. We have guardianship over her.
Yeah.
Like, the hell with you people. Like, that's where I was at.
Well, they were kicking her out.
They were kicking her out. You know, I have my suspicions about what was actually going to happen there. I can't prove any of them, but, you know, your gut's never wrong.
Right.
And
Holy shit.
so yeah, we finally get home and we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Like, we don't have a wheelchair, except that crazy one that doesn't work for her. You know, it was like, oh my God, this is...
House remodel?
Oh, it's still not
done.
No, it's just concrete because we're in the middle of winter.
Right.
Right? So, like, holy hell. So we put her in the middle of the living room and stapled sheets up to give her privacy, like she has her own room for when we needed to change her, and we just tie them together.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah. So then the next day, I had made that appointment for me with our doctor. Tom helps me. We get down to Sioux Falls to my doctor, and we walk in. We had modified the wheelchair enough that we could use it temporarily till we could get something else, right? And I come walking in, and my doctor looks at me, and she says, Michelle? And I just started bawling. And I said, I need you to be Morgan's doctor. You have to be Morgan's doctor. I don't know what else to do. Blah, 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 blah. Here's what happened. And I tell her the whole story. And she's giving me a hug saying, it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to be your doctor. What do you need? And she just started whipping out orders for everything, going through the meds, making sure everything was okay. And for the first time in a long time, I took a sigh of relief and I took a deep breath. Still didn't know what the hell I was doing. Tom didn't know what the hell he was doing, but our baby was home.
Yeah.
No more hospitals, no more inpatient, no nursing homes.
No nursing homes.
No nursing homes. But we could do this. So we had our baby home, our family's back together, and we were just going to figure it out.
I have goosebumps.
Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. We love hearing from you guys, so keep the comments and the questions coming for us.
Yes. Love the questions. Please subscribe. Go to www.givemorgan.org or visit me at my real estate website, realtorcraigbertrand.com. And we always want your questions, comments, like, and share wherever you listen or watch.
Thank you.
Thank you.